My name is Joa Morsi. I am the chairperson of Muslim Women Together Islamic group here in Ireland, Dublin 15 exactly. It's really interesting to have a chance to attend conference like that talking about the racist against the minority or even against the women. And I'm trying to working hard for nearly now 6 years to bring our voices as a Muslim ladies, as a minority here as well in Dublin, to have a good communication, to have integration and coexist with the Irish community. And we have to enjoy our life here, because Ireland now becomes our second homes, and that's meaning we have to feel kind of equality and feel free enjoying life here in Ireland.
That's great. And
it's hard to translate it in my head. Shwaya, exactly, very good. How did you learn it? Of course, yes, I think so. It's very important to have a women from different kinds, from everywhere, different religion, ethnics, cultures, colors. That's important. That's make us more strong. And very good to keep repeat this kind of conferences from time to time to remember the whole world. We are here, we are the same, we don't care about the difference between each other, just we have the same situation, same condition, to have equality between us and the other side, the men. Not really, to be honest. I don't think so. The stories will give these results because I have a long time to hear a lot of stories like the story that we heard today about Miriam from South Africa, I think so. And I would like to ask here a question from myself. This story happened for a long time about the people they are going to Middle East, especially Arab Gulf, and they are suffering from the way they treat them. Why they are going again? Why? It's a long experience about those people from Indonesia, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and I would like to tell them avoid to go this country until they understand your rights and to respect the other human beings.
That's right. And do you think that it's important for Muslim women in Ireland to report? Why do Muslim women in Ireland not report, or do they report racism?
And I don't think so. They are report racism here in Ireland. I don't know. They are not interested in these issues, or they are talking about that between each other only. But to go out to attend conferences or meetings to speak loudly, I don't think so, and I don't know why.
Okay, it might be useful if you could just say that. No, just go back to where you were. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. What's your name? I'm sorry again. Paula. That's good. Paula. It's working fine now. You think so?
Yeah. It would be great if you could start by the sentence by saying Muslim women in Ireland don't report that much racism.
Okay.
I think it would be good because our voices are silent. We need to be heard.
Yes, we are isolated.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Muslim women are isolated. They don't report racism. We want them to report. I want my sisters to report the truth.
Yes,
know?
exactly.
Whether you want to say it's God's will or whatever you want to say.
No, but that's it. That's it. Enough.
Great, it's fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so go for it. So tell me,
again?
Start the sentence with that. I think it's important.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's important for Muslim women to report the racism that happen everywhere, not in the Middle East or in Ireland or anywhere. It's very important. I don't know why. I'm trying to do this with my Muslim Women Together group, to speak loudly, to speak between each other about that, to attend the conferences, to report that. And I think it's important, and I'm sure it will affect in the future, a near future. Thanks.
Okay, that's perfect.
I'm not.
Why did you come here today? Why are conferences like this that bring women together from all different backgrounds so important?
I would see conference, anything to do with equality, very important. I suppose, speaking as a travelling woman, that first of all, that Irish travellers here in Southern Ireland is not recognised as an ethnic group. And I would be very much for travellers to be recognised as an ethnic group. You know, that our identity, is there, and it's something that we are proud of, and something that we, you might say to me, why? Well, because I know myself that I'm different. As soon as I walk out the door today, I know I'm different, that I'm classed as different with an Irish person. We have our own beliefs, we have our own culture, we have our own ways, and it doesn't happen to you overnight. You're born a traveller, and no matter where you live, let you live in stay of houses, let you live in a castle, all your life, you're still a traveller. It doesn't make it. There's no such thing as a settled traveller to me. Born a traveller. You can live in accommodation that is settled, but you're still a traveller.
I just want to ask you, do many traveller women report racism against them in Ireland?
Do they report it?
Yeah.
I suppose it wouldn't be so much reported because it's a daily routine to us in a way, because we can be in a shop and we can be followed around the shop. We can have it in our schools for our children goes. We can have it in taxis, we can have it in any services that's going. Even within the health service, we can have discrimination and that. So you highlight it. But where do you go from that? Because the equality that was there for discrimination has all changed, and it has made it get harder for us. So it would be something like that we know, and you kind of say to yourself, well, you live with it. But other ways from that, you don't like it happening. Who wants to be followed around the shop, or who wants, you want the rights that's there for you, and to be able to carry on with a daily routine. And also maybe just to say as well about our people having to hide who they are. I mean, everyone would know when I go out on the street that I'd be a traveller, but there'd be a lot of our young people that they wouldn't be able to tell that they were a traveller, So they'd have to hide and say, right, to get a job in such as a factory or whatever, that they'd have to get a job and hide who they be at. And I think that's wrong, very wrong. But also that there would be some of the travellers, a few, not a big majority, would be like that we have maybe a doctor, we'd have like nurses, I have two cousins that's nurses, but they can't come up front and say that they are nurses or that case to be discriminated more against, to be fair to that they lose their job or whatever had happened.
Okay, and do you think that, do you represent a message to other traveller women that it is time to stand up to racism? Do you think that women in the travelling community should stand up and take action?
Well, of course, that travelling women is. A1, that I'm a woman. A2, secondly, that I am a woman. And I'm double discriminated against because I'm a travelling woman. Of course, I'd like to get my message across there. And for women to stand up, being able to speak up for themselves and things. Because maybe the type of work that I do myself, I'm in primary healthcare project, and I would have found that at the very beginning we had to go to the extraordinary to get primary healthcare for travellers, and also around lobbying policies for travellers, that it took us so long to get a health strategy. And then we lobbied for an All-Ireland health study was carried out from one end of Ireland to the other. And it took us another 7 or 8 years to get that. And I do feel that it's discrimination in a way, because maybe within the strategies and within the policies that's there, that I've seen other strategies coming in and we're just in the door and out the door. And I do get a bit sad about that as well, because I think, as I say myself, we've been around for centuries. We're white, we're Irish, and Ireland is our own country. And even though I lived in England for over 30 years myself, and I always used to say, I'm going home to Ireland, I was going home, and that. And I suppose the sad the way I look at it now as well, that we should be recognised as an ethnic group, because if I get into a car now or a bus, and it's only about 3 hours drive to Northern Ireland, well, when I step in Northern Ireland, I'm recognised as an ethnic group. But also when I go to the UK, and I think that's very, very important as well for travelling women. But I have to say another thing before I go away, and I know myself, I'm putting loads here that I think travelling women's, because when I first started working, I work in Pavy Point, and when I first started in being involved in Pavy Point, I didn't think I'd get as far as I got. But thanks to the staff, and I suppose for myself, being able to stand up. Because the way I look at it is, it's a human right in a way, you know, that you can go into a place and you can say, well, I've experienced this, and I know our needs. And who knows that better than the traveller herself? So it's a lot got to do with that as well. But to me, everybody has a role to play. Let it be the equality, unequality, housing authority, education, the living conditions is very important as well, and all them things that stops travellers for that. Because I do say you can't have good health unless you've got all them to follow up, because they keep it down. The determinants of health is a wider picture just than the one or two.
I'm going to ask you one last question, Missy, and that is, this morning was really interesting. Like, what did you think of, like, sitting in a room and listening to other people tell their stories? Do you think it's important that we as women all sit together and listen to each other?
Very important, and I always say it as well, that seeing today that there's other ethnic groups, I suppose they are identified by there, and I think it's very important today that there's other, like the other women that are sitting on the panel there or whatever. I think it's very, because their voices is as important as mine to be heard, and why not? You know, because other than that, we're going to be camped down all the time, and I think it's the only way out for women to keep campaigning, but also that is very important for our young generation come up. Like what I've experienced through life, my children wouldn't have. They were reared up different and everything else. That doesn't mean that they're not a traveller. As I said before, born a traveller, always a, but I try to keep as much into their heads as I can. But there's one thing I am all for, and have grandchildren and a great-grandchild, that I'm very much into their education as well, because I think it's a way forward for us. And as I said, a lot of stuff has to change for us. And I suppose with these other women and nationalities, I have been abroad a few times, and I've got up and I spoke at conferences and things like that. And it's also about women being empowerment, and I think that has to happen for us.
Today so far?
Oh my God! I mean, like coming here is a very good experience. Like for me as a woman, because it shows that a lot of women are interested in women issues, and there's nothing more interesting like all women coming together to solve their own problems, you know. And so today has been very informative, a lot of learning, and having a lot of women in the group together. You learn, you network, you share experiences, and you know how to move forward. Solidarity, it means coming together and working together to promote justice, equality, especially when it comes to women, migrant women for one. When we stick together and we come together with as one force and one family, we achieve more. Absolutely. I mean, no one can tell more than the person that has experienced it. They always say that it's the person that wears the shoes that knows where the pain is. So we have heard from Mariam Bati, and we could see that from her experience, she has lots of stories to tell. So she's giving us a first-hand account of her own real-life experience. It's no book, it's no somebody else's story. This is her real experience. So absolutely, it's very important for people to share their experiences so that people can connect with it, and so that really the voices are heard out there and things can be done about it. People can come together and really make that change that we have been asking for.
Who aren't here? Would you like to say the people who are in the room here, are people very interested and do women listen closely to the stories of marginalised women? Do you want to tell other people that people in Ireland do want to listen to stories so that they can change things?
Absolutely. I would encourage every woman that is not here to open up to trust in the people that they work with. The Irish, the women of Ireland are really interested, in hearing the stories of these migrant women. And many times, if they don't know, they wouldn't know how to help you. So if you come out and share your experience, then they can have more informed information, to make a decision regarding your progress or anything that you may need. So it's absolutely important for every woman to come out and speak. And there's no need to be ashamed of your experience, but if the more you tell, the more they know, and the more they know how to help you or assist you.
Or if they don't, why is that?
Well, generally, I think that a few would, but I don't know. They may report it amongst themselves. They may talk about it, but I don't think that they will go to a higher level. They just try to ignore it and they move forward. African women sometimes, they may not even know that they're experiencing racism, or sometimes they just feel, they're just a bit laid back about it because of the stress of making they don't want to make a fuss about it. So I would think that they wouldn't be reporting it as well, and maybe because of, they're just too busy anyway to think about it. It's the least on their agenda. They just carry on because we are strong people. We've taken on a lot over the years. Even coming here to Ireland it's a lot of bold step. So sometimes when we experience this racism, we just we ignore it and and keep going and to achieve more things.
Good, but do you think that it is important to take a stand against racism? Do you think it's important for the African and the Irish community of women to take a stand together against racism? And do you believe they can?
I think that every woman, the migrant community should come out and speak against racism. It is very important to say enough is enough. If you think you're experiencing racism in any way, at work, at home, anywhere you think you are going to, in school, I think it's very important. And yes, they can, but they need to be more empowered. They need to get that information and even know where to go, because sometimes if you don't know where to go, you can tend to be too laid back about things. So yes, it's important to go out there, and yes, they can, but they need more information to encourage them to come along.
Yeah, my name is Carmen Frese, and I work at the moment for CORGE. It's an organization who's supporting the ethnic minorities' rights in health and access to health services in Ireland. I work with ethnic minorities for many years in Ireland. I live in Ireland for about 16 years, and I can tell you that I work in this environment of ethnic minority groups for about 12 years now. I am so privileged that I'm here today, even though in this economic downturn, women are sticking together. They help each other. They try to empower their peers and their friends to go further and fight against racism in Ireland, which is more obvious now. I have people coming to me and saying that they can't get jobs, not because there are no jobs on the market, but because they have a foreign name, even though they are very qualified. They are qualified in Ireland. And unfortunately, racism is at all levels, and still we are facing more and more racism every day due to the economic downturn, but due to the fact that people are not very well informed about our circumstances and our life. And education, I think, would be the main issue. Unfortunately, the funds are cut from these issues, from these parts, education and social sciences and social work. But we're still here and we still fight against it, against racism, against discrimination, and for equality in this country. Very important, because we are realizing that there are problems not only in this country, because we have people invited from all around, and it's very important to have a common voice, not only from Ireland, from various backgrounds in Ireland, but from all countries in Europe, because we are all confronted with more or less the same issues.
And do you think that solidarity is a good way to fight back?
That's the only way. The solidarity actually is the only way to achieve our target, to fight against racism and eradicate inequalities.
And can you just tell me, how does racism affect Romanian women?
Well, Romanian women are living in Ireland specifically, are part of very diverse backgrounds. There are very educated women, there are different ages as well, mothers, single mothers, family people, belonging to various ethnic groups from Romania and different ethnic groups. And this is one of the main problems that's affecting them, that the Irish perception on Romanians and Romanians, it's quite distorted because of, I can say, education. People do not know enough about Romania and cultural traditions and diversity and cultural diversity over there. And it's easy to mistaken and do all sorts of things which are upsetting women living here and going into real racism. So they are quite affected at all levels in getting a job, in being racialized, you know, like I used to be at one stage, I'm giving an example, my natural color is blonde, and it's dark blonde, and years ago when I applied for first job in Ireland, the employer asked me, well, are you from Romania? Yes, I am. And but you must be a blonde Roma or Gypsy, because you are not dark enough. And I told him I would have been proud to be a Gypsy, but unfortunately I'm not, even though I'm coming from Romania. So this is just one example, which is kind of difficult to fight, and it's a very sensitive topic. Well, it's a quite diverse group at our table. I've noticed that there are women working for women in politics in Ireland from an ethnic background, women working for other women, for other organizations, women unemployed, women working for their organizations, women involved in voluntary work. A lot of women are at the moment involved in voluntary work because it seems that there are no jobs on the market at the moment for many women.
Okay, and that's grand. And let's see, just finally, if we want anything else, do you think it's important for women that you know to report racism? Do Romanian women report racism?
Not really.
Will you start that question again?
Romanians do not report racist incidents. Not that many, because they don't want to get involved, they don't want to come visible, they don't want to fight against it. They are afraid of their position and achievements not to be shaken in Ireland. And they go with the flow, as we say, you know, and it's very hard for them. But when you talk to them one-to-one, and it's very important to have that they will have somebody to talk to understand in their own language, then they open up, and then they tell you what's going on. And we try to empower them to speak up and go further and ask for their rights and to use the opportunities offered.
Do you want to send a message out to your kids that it is important to?
Yes. I would like them to come in the open, to report all racism, and I'm sure a lot of children in school are bullied. I know cases when children are suffering of depression and parents are suffering from depression, and they are very touched by these racist incidents, you know. So I think it's very important that they speak up and they stand against it, stand together, and join the forces, which I think it's very important that we are here and we are organizing this sort of events, come together.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think it's necessary, you know. I think that in one way it also allows us to feel that we're not isolated, that groups aren't isolated, or ethnic minorities aren't isolated, that they feel they can come someplace. But I don't see that that's here at the moment in Ireland, this coming together. I think feminist conferences can sometimes bring that on, but sometimes people, black women, don't always feel connected because sometimes racism isn't on the agenda. So personally, I don't always feel interested in going to places that actually don't deal with the issues that I have to face in Irish society.
But do you think this conference is dealing with that?
I don't. Well, at the moment, it's lovely to see black women speak about their issues. But if you look around, you'll see that most people here are white. So I find that kind of disheartening. Where are the black women in Ireland? Because there's many of us now. And I think one of the reasons a lot of black women aren't here, I think especially women from the refugee communities probably fear that if they become visible in any way or speak out, it may affect their status, and I think these are issues that we should be looking at.
But do you think that that this is the journey? If this is the status quo right now, what is the?
I think the issue for me, as a Black Irish, is that we tend to focus on racism and how it impacts on brown and dark-skinned people. But what we don't tend to look at is the privilege of racism. And I think as long as we don't look at the privilege of racism, how white people, especially in this country, white settled people, benefit from racism, I think we can have these conferences till we're blue in the face. It won't do anything to dismantle racism because we're actually missing the whole point, which is focusing on whiteism, which is what I call, because when we use the word whiteism, we begin to recognise that the problem actually isn't about black people integrating. The problem is about white people benefiting.
I suppose racism is alive and well in Ireland today. It affects people from all different kind of backgrounds in a number of different ways. And there definitely is a particular gender dimension to racism and how women experience racism. And the lack of, I suppose, understanding of those gender dimensions, be it through barriers, through economic access, through health access, through your immigration status being a barrier to you to be able to participate fully and claim your rights in a society. So it's real, and we know that women are experiencing racism, but we also know that there is an absolute underreporting of women of racist incidents. Like there is a new mechanism there that is set up to monitor racist incidents, and from the statistics that have been able to be found from that, we can see that women either aren't identifying the racist incidents, or not reporting them for fear, or not reporting them because they don't know how to report them. So I think one of the important things about today and coming together in this collective space is that it's bringing people, women from all different kind of backgrounds together to discuss it, to name it, to identify it, and to know what the solutions are there. So rather than focusing on the problem all the time, it's about, okay, well, what's there? How can we address it? And knowing about what will be the outcome once you do that, you know? So I think that's been a really healthy space, because in the last number of years, these spaces are few and far between. They're not funded, they're not resourced, so we really need to make the effort to participate in these very valuable spaces when they come about, and hopefully to try and build something from them that's a little bit more sustainable and that can, you know, take advantage of opportunities that are there in order to recognise racism in society.
Can I ask one more question? Like Columbo? Never ends. I think that through participation in collective spaces, that women can really experience empowerment, or is it a step towards women really, you know, having their voice heard and acknowledged in our society?
It's not it's not the answer in itself, but it is the first step. I mean, you cannot address racism and a gender analysis of racism without having the experience of those there. And it's the women and the individuals who experience it that have the expertise in it, that have the knowledge of it, and that in bringing people together, it empowers women to develop their analysis of what the barriers are, to be able to name it, and to be able to identify solutions themselves, and then participate in those decision-making structures that can give voice to that. So even in listening to people's problems, that in itself is a start of the empowerment process.
Okay, well, I think the issue is that there are many Roma women who are capable, women who can advocate for themselves, but they don't necessarily have the spaces to do so. So I think firstly it's important that we know the issues that are impacting Roma women throughout Europe and in Ireland, because it's all interconnected. So if you look at throughout Europe, Roma women have faced coercive sterilisation, they're facing forcible evictions, collective expulsions, vigilante attacks. The statistics are across Europe, 90% of Roma are living in poverty, and it's all interconnected. The experiences of Roma in Europe then define the experiences of Roma in Ireland. So for example, if a Roma woman has faced segregated education in Europe and then comes to Ireland and is trying to find employment, there are huge barriers there. So I think we have to look at the context in which Roma are experiencing gender inequality, but also class inequality, class oppression and racism. And this is the key thing, and this needs to be tackled. And I think there are quite simple things we can do. We can listen to Roma, for one, and we have to create the spaces and the structures for Roma women to participate, because like I said, there are capable women there who have the know-how, have the expertise, they've lived the experience. We need to listen to them, and to do that we need to create these structures, and we can create goals, we can create targets for inclusion, for anti-racism, and we need to name racism, and we need to also allocate funding to these initiatives, and we need to monitor and evaluate. But this is nothing new, it's not something that has not been said before, but what we haven't done is taken action on it. And I think that the core message is Roma women need to be in a situation where they can advocate for themselves because they have the experience.
That's great.